Yeah, that's an odd situation. We got good numbers, but like there was a phone call. Like my phone rang in the middle of it. Try it again, make it more succinct, and see if the phone might ring again. But this example that, but you know, what's going on in this in this case, it involves a fire department and volunteer firefighters. Imagine taking place in other districts other than the one that was reported on. But here's the thing: what you'd want people to become aware of is that all that the president's healthcare program, the first thing to be aware of is that millions and millions of it's like 2 million people already who just couldn't afford healthcare can now see a doctor when they get sick. Doesn't exclude them for a pre-existing condition. They can get treatment. Okay, it's a good thing. Okay, but what is happening is that because there's something finally in place, problems have come to the surface. Some people are being affected negatively. If our democratic forms functioned and our political class operated in a way that was rational, what they'd be doing is in each whoever they represent that the problem was created for, to look into what specifically took place there and write legislation that would change the part of the bill that's created such a problem, or to pass legislation that would correct that problem. And as those problems get corrected, it becomes even more clear how to move forward. The problems wouldn't come to the surface if there wasn't a healthcare plan in place that's helping like millions of people. But what's happening is this, but it's a good example of let's say what's not happening, okay? Here's a situation where there's a fire department, imagine it's happening elsewhere, where there's a large amount of volunteer firefighters and there's also volunteer fire departments. Part of the law that addresses employers who employ a certain amount of people, they're required to offer a health care program for their employees. But in this situation, what it says in the law is creating a situation where many volunteer firefighters are going to lose their job, and volunteer fire departments might close in one area. Okay, now here's the thing. What you'd like to see happen, and what would make sense, is that fire department's in a district represented by congressmen. What they would be doing is saying, oh, here's a specific problem with the law. Write the legislation to make the changes in the law necessary to fix this problem for their constituents who are volunteer firefighters. All the problems with the law are like that. They're highly specific to a certain group of people. Maybe small in the big picture, but it has to be corrected and then move forward. But they asked him, well, is your Congress people doing anything about it? He said, well, they've written a bill to correct the problem, but it's sort of gone to the Congress and we don't really know what's happening. Well, what's happening is this: in addition to the political class behaving irrationally, wanting the whole healthcare program repealed rather than fixing the specific problems, one of the problems with them writing a bill that then goes to the floor of the Congress is that the procedures of our Congress apparently need to be changed, because nothing ever gets passed because they're doing what's called deal making. It's kind of unfamiliar that's a term you associate with business. Why they're making deals to pass rational legislation that would fix a problem? And the answer is, part of the procedures of the way our Congress functions is that once a bill comes to the floor, but other congressmen, they say we'll only vote for yes on this if we tack on an amendment that relates to an entirely different issue that affects people in their district but unrelated to what the legislation's about. Could be anything. And they block the thing from passing unless... But every congressperson apparently gets a chance to do that. So nothing gets passed, and they spend their time making deals. Okay? So, the procedures of the Congress and their attitude of not wanting to fix specific problems are creating a situation where nothing's changing as far as the problems. But worse than that, the way the media presents these things, all this bombarding people with information, some of it trivial, some of it ridiculous, some of it serious. But what's happened is one of the channels and some of the political class who wants the bill repealed is simply inundating everyone with what the problems are in the bill, not telling them there's a way to fix such things and why they're not getting fixed, and it's because of the political class and the way our Congress operates. They're simply using these as an opportunity to put in the minds of viewers who maybe, who put in the minds of viewers the idea that the entire healthcare program should be repealed, which would take the health care away from the millions of people getting health care. So that's a good example of something that allows us to talk about the fact that the political class, particularly on the Republican side, and the very procedures and way things are done in our Congress are creating a situation where something irrational and harmful is happening, but also one would be very pessimistic about any kind of positive change happening when this is how things are working.